Hey everyone, Dan and Leslie back for another Disney dining review.
Pasta, 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 pasta.
Today we are headed to not one of our favorites, but we do really enjoy this, so we just haven't been all that often. So we are going to Terralina Crafted Italian at Disney Springs.
It's funny because while both of us love Italian food, I think whenever we think, hey, let's go out and grab something, we often think of like Mexican is probably our go-to the most often. Pizza would be our second, which I guess is sort of Italian. But we don't ever tend to like go, let's just go get some pasta.
Like a nice Italian restaurant. And honestly, if we're gonna do pasta, we typically make it here at home.
Because this guy makes the best spaghetti.
I mean, thank you. But we have eaten here. It was actually pre-COVID shutdown, so it's been quite a while. I'm excited to, but it was after their renovation.
Yes.
The menu is fabulous, and it's not exorbitantly expensive. It's centrally located, like between the boathouse and Paddlefish. Very, very good location.
Did we say where we are going?
Yeah, Terralina Crafted.
Okay.
And I just don't know why it isn't busier. It's very easy to get reservations here. Like any day of the week, I can usually get a reservation here. It's not overly complicated. In fact, that's probably why we haven't reviewed it until now, because it's super easy to get a reservation here.
But I am excited. I looked at their menu. I want several things. So,
Dude, I haven't even looked at it yet. It's been so long, I forgot.
I think that we'll probably end up bringing leftovers home to the kids for tonight's dinner.
They will appreciate that.
Because I want to try. I mean, I feel like, you know, they do so many different things. They do like an eggplant parmesan, which is one of my favorites. They also do pasta. They do pizza. They do, you know, the appetizers like the caprese salads, and
yeah,
there's so much.
And it's, from what I remember, it's very, very good Italian food. So I'm very excited about this. There's actually a really cool little outdoor bar there, and every time we pass it, we're like, we should just come and hang out at this outdoor bar for a little bit one day, and we just haven't. In fact, we just did a podcast over the best like kind of lounges, like doing lounge crawls in certain areas, and part of it was Disney Springs, and we didn't mention this place, but we've never actually been to just be the outdoor bar. Anyway, all that to be said, I'm ready. We're almost late, as usual. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Let's go. They bring you bread to the table, which looks fantastic.
I love bread.
Looks great. And then a butter, it's just...
Looks just like normal butter. I got the limoncello mojito. It
Sounds
looks
good.
very good. Just tastes like mint lemonade.
I got this sangria. Very fruity. That's very refreshing.
Oh, that is good. Good sangria.
Grab some. For an appetizer, we ordered the bruschetta, however you say that. She said it was very good. And then I got a spicy capicola pizza.
And then I ended up getting the pork gnocchi. I was eyeing that or the spaghetti and meatballs, and I also looked at the lasagna. She definitely recommended a lot of the seafood pastas, but I wasn't really feeling that today. So I ended up with the pork gnocchi. I'm very excited.
The bread is very tasty.
There's no like necessarily added flavor or anything to it. You know, some places do the little dippy. Bruschetta has arrived.
Whatever.
It looks amazing. I'm super excited. That is very good. The tomatoes are really fresh. The mozzarella is fresh.
The ratio of toppings to bread is actually really, really nice. Too many times you can get bruschetta that is either like the bread is too thick and it doesn't have enough, but this is great.
Yeah.
Food has arrived. This looks really, really good. So mine is, what's about a 12-inch pizza, 6 slices. Looks definitely enough for one person. I don't know how shareable it would be.
Yeah.
But she did bring us out some grated Parmesan and crushed red pepper for it. You got the pork gnocchi.
So it looks good. I mean, it's It definitely is like shredded pork in there.
Is there? I'm indifferent.
It's not bad, but it's not like mind-blowing. There's not enough seasoning in the tomato sauce.
Agreed.
Like I feel like I just maybe opened a can of ragu.
So it looks like we got arugula, we got a couple different kinds of cheeses. Like there's mozzarella, but then there's like a soft cheese. What is that? Like a ricotta?
Yeah, I think so.
And then pickled red onion and some sort of like ham. It's a very good pizza. I'm not getting much of the spicy though. Wasn't it a spicy peppercorn? Maybe just the ham is the spice.
I think so.
Anyway, the pizza itself is not very spicy, but that balsamic glaze on it is very, very good. And that soft ricotta cheese, that actually is really nice on there. It gives it another texture. Oh my.
Very
Spilling
cheesy.
it all over there.
I mean, it's very cheesy.
So we got the tiramisu for dessert. It actually looks pretty good. So we're gonna see if it holds up to Via Napoli. Fighting words?
Fighting words right there.
The flavors are good. The espresso is not as forward as I would like. Like it's definitely there, but it's kind of being overpowered by the cream. I think the cream ratio to the ladyfingers is maybe a little much.
Yeah.
Feels like there's just a little too, like that cream is just a little too thick for me.
It's pretty soaked on the bottom though.
All right, I think we got everything we need. 3 courses and drinks. I think I'm happy. Are you happy?
I'm happy.
All right, let's pick this up at home. All right, I could confidently say,
That's fair. Before we dive into the numbers, if you need help planning your next magical vacation, please reach out to us at fantasticalvacations.com. We specialize in Disney, Universal, cruise lines, and all-inclusive resorts.
and if you like us on video, you'll love us in your head. Just kidding. We do a podcast, Addicted to the Mouse, twice weekly on Sundays and Wednesdays. We have a lot of fun over there. It's been going for 5.5 years. And we just launched a Patreon group over there. So you can check us out, Addicted to the Mouse podcast or patreon.com/addicted to the mouse.
Love hanging out with this guy twice a week.
Who wouldn't?
So before going, I was like, man, I remember enjoying this food so much. Why have we not been back?
I know why.
So let's start off with ambiance and theming. You know, you walk in, it feels like a modern Italian place. Like they've decorated it well. The design has been good. Like it feels like an Italian place.
And then this happens.
Parmesan cheese or crushed pepper to go with your entrees today?
Yes, please. That'd be great. Who tests the fire alarm while you're operating a restaurant?
That was weird. It was weird.
What is happening? I have never once in my life had a restaurant test the fire alarms during service hours. I managed the facilities for a private club with multiple restaurants for 7.5 years. I had to routinely test the fire alarms during that period of time. Never once did I do that while they were serving food in a restaurant.
Yeah.
What is happening right now?
I don't think I've ever been anywhere outside of whenever I worked at the college where they tested the fire alarms during working hours. I mean, well, okay. I worked at a hospital and that's 24 hours, 7 days a week. That's
count
different,
at all.
right?
When you are expecting our meal with discount, because they did a 10% on the food for annual pass, was $120 some odd with tip.
Granted, as always, we ordered way too much
Fine.
because of the review.
It's for the review, so you could get out of there for, it's still gonna be $50-$60 for 2 people, regardless of how you do it. Granted, it was a slow time, but just because I choose to go to lunch on a Monday afternoon at an off time doesn't mean you can just blare the fire alarms. Anyway, all of that to say,
it was interesting. They did warn us.
They
But
warned us
still-
like 30 seconds before they set them up. In fact,
It
a
was-
manager
it was
came by the
interesting.
table. She came by to each of the tables and she's like, hey, just to let you know, they're gonna have to set up the fire alarms. And then somebody came back in after that manager had done that and said, and announced to the entire dining room, just to let you know, we're about to set up the fire alarms. It doesn't matter. It was unacceptable. It should not have happened during business hours. I don't know what the
fair.
situation was, but it ruined the ambiance and theming. And then I started looking around.
This guy, he's like, look at the ceiling. And it was pretty bad. Like, so I was facing, we were at like the first booth where, I mean, basically my view was Dan and the door. So that's what I could see. But the ceiling all behind me was literally like, the tiles were crooked and kind of falling apart. And it was interesting.
It was awful. I would be embarrassed. And they just renovated this thing 4 years ago, 5 years
Yeah.
ago, something like that. It
So
wasn't good.
all that to say, they get a 2 for that. I mean,
They only get a 2 because of the effort they put into like the bar and like the finish on a couple of walls.
yeah.
I don't know.
It ruined the ambiance for sure. Moving on to service. So it was a very, very slow time. There was hardly anybody in the restaurant. Our server was nice. She was very pleasant. It was slower service, but I get like not rushing us through too, so I can appreciate that. It's that weird like dance, right, where you don't want to rush people, but then you also don't want to be too slow. So anyway, she was perfectly lovely, so we're giving her a 3.
Yeah, she was nice. Okay, let's talk about drinks. I think the drinks were good and well themed, but they felt a little expensive to me.
Yeah, so I mean, my drink was fantastic. It tasted like mint lemonade, like you wouldn't know that there was alcohol in it. And I also, at the end of it, did not know that there was any alcohol in it for $16. So
$16. I'm pretty sure my sangria was $16 as well, and it was a full glass of sangria. But all that is cheap red wine that they infuse a bunch of fruit into.
Yeah.
So it's really nothing that special. I just feel like $16 may be a little too much for those cocktails. I
agree.
think $12 may be a better price point. So I think they get, a couple of extra points for being better themed drinks than some of the other restaurants we've talked about, but maybe a couple of points less for being a little too expensive. So I think straight up average, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that washes each other out.
Yep, so a 3. And then food. So the bruschetta was fantastic.
It's very good, actually. Yeah.
I mean, I really enjoyed it. I liked how the bread was not too crispy, but it was crispy enough, if that makes sense. Like I didn't, it didn't like poke into the insides of my mouth whenever I took a bite, like me trying to like gnaw through like crispy bread.
Mm-hmm.
Like it broke off very nicely, but it was also like it held up to all the toppings.
The free bread, like the complimentary bread that comes out whenever you order drinks or whatever, the bread itself was good. It was not soup. It was fresh, but it wasn't hot. Like it didn't just come out of the oven.
Yeah.
So they had baked it, but it just or got it delivered. I don't know where they get their bread, but it wasn't like super hot. So I think that would have gotten some extra points if it had been warm. And then the butter was just not. It was just butter. So you ended up requesting some balsamic vinegar, and we coupled that with the EVO that was on the table, and that actually ended up being better.
Which I thought I remembered the last time we went, them doing kind of that traditional like little,
Oil and
plate
vinegar.
with oil and either vinegar or like some seasoning or something. But
They didn't do that
They
this
didn't
time.
do that this time.
The entrees were okay. Like the pizza, it didn't hold the candle to be a Napoli, but it wasn't horrible pizza either. It was
No,
fine.
it was fine. And I got that pork gnocchi, and I wish I would have just gotten spaghetti with meatballs. Like, it was okay, but the sauce was just not seasoned, really.
See, I didn't care for the sauce, but I also didn't care for the texture of the gnocchi. It's like dumplings, but it was, I don't know, it was too thick of a dumpling. And I've had gnocchi before, and I haven't noticed that it wasn't light enough for gnocchi. It was just like
Yeah.
a solid, dense ball of dough. I didn't really care for yours, honestly.
Yeah, it was okay.
The dessert, I mean, you heard what we said about the dessert. It was a fine tiramisu. It just the ratios were a little off. I would say it's average, nothing more, nothing less. So
all that to say, I think we are giving food a 3, so that's 3, 3, 3, and 2, which makes it a 2.75. I mean, and I feel like that's pretty fair. I really think that had the whole fire alarm thing not happened, it probably would have been closer to just straight up average 3. There are just, it's so hard in Disney Springs because there's so many other fantastic places to eat. That whenever you're comparing someplace like this to Chef Art Smith's or, you know, Raglan Road, or I'm gonna pick one of those other places, hands down.
Hands down. I would almost have rather them just set the fire alarms off and then come through and be like, don't panic, it's nothing, we've got it under control, it's absolutely nothing. just like act like it was you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was an accident or something. Like, who plans a fire alarm test for the middle of service?
That really bothered this one.
It really I mean, I can't justify giving it average or above, even if it was wonderful, which it wasn't.
That's fair.
But I even if everything else rated 4, 4.5, like I can't get past it. I will say the one good thing about Ambiance is that every single table in there that I saw was a 4-top or larger.
Yeah, it was really nice. And you know, I don't really feel like we're being picky about it necessarily, but you know, 2-tops are just tiny.
I don't like 2-tops, period, regardless of if we're filming or just 2 of us or anything. Like, 2-tops are too small, especially when they're crammed in next to each
I
other.
was gonna say, usually then you're like, hey, what's up? To the random people next to you.
I absolutely hate that. So for a nice meal, I don't want a 2-top. Even if I'm not filming, I'm asking for a 4-top. So, but I do like that about Terralina Crafted. So all that to say, yeah, it is what it is. Like it probably just got straight up average. If you try this place and they don't set off a fire alarm, expect it to be pretty average.
So if you are liking our dining reviews, please hit the like and subscribe so that you don't miss the next one.
And we will see you on the next video.